Spy flights. Spy flights. So, there's a UK base in Cyprus. Do you know that?
Akrotiri.
Yeah. There we go. You know more than you think about this story. And they have been flying military aircraft in the direction of Gaza and then
Oh, yes.
turning off their radar around that time and then reappearing a few hours later, returning to the base. So, they could be doing anything. Who knows what they're doing? But people believe that they're probably doing sort of reconnaissance missions over Gaza for the Israeli military.
Yeah.
This has been widely reported by Declassified, who've been keeping tabs on this for a number of years.
Yeah.
I want to talk about stupidity sort of throughout. I want that to be a theme of today's podcast, right? I'm going to start with Jonathan Beale, who is possibly the main political correspondent at the BBC. And he posted... So, Declassified were writing articles about this, and then they were posting on Twitter, little signposts to their articles, little comments about these spy planes. And Jonathan Beale replied, and he said, quote, "Please tell us how we can get the classified intelligence only you seem to know about."
Oh.
To which Declassified replied, "This is public information. There are a number of websites which track flights, and you can see all of the satellite data. It's very easy to see, right?" So this seems to me that Jonathan
Well
Beale
done, Declassified.
actually, without looking into it at all, just assumed this was some sort of fake news and didn't even know about what is for someone who's a war correspondent, what would be a basic way of tracking what your military is doing is by looking at these public sourced satellite images that you can get, right? This was about, I don't know, a year ago, maybe not so long ago, but Declassified had been doing it for a number of years, and very slowly this has started to be acknowledged by The Guardian and to some extent by the BBC itself, that these are actually taking place. And then it came out that the BBC actually knew about it all along. Clearly not Jonathan Beale, the war correspondent at the BBC. It was being held from him. But the BBC had the information and they were refusing to publish it. Now, this all culminated...
Right, that's really interesting. Can I just make a quick point as well about Declassified?
You're more than welcome to make a quick point, Matt.
It's not like, just for anyone watching, it's not like Declassified is just some random website that just popped up a couple of years ago and started saying, "Oh, we know the truth about this." Declassified was set up in about 2019 by one of Britain's best.
That's not that long
Mark
ago,
Curtis.
to be honest.
Well, no, to be fair, I get your point. But Mark Curtis had been writing as a historian since the 90s. Major books like Web of Deceit and I can't remember the other ones, but a whole series of like the best books on best research books on post-war colonial British relationships, but also extending it all the way up to Iraq and beyond.
Yeah.
And so and then there's a team around him too of the best journalists. It's like there's, even if the BBC didn't actually know about it, and I know you're saying the opposite, like those are the experts in this whole thing.
This is Jonathan Beale, right? So he's coming at Declassified completely wrong with a very hot take that you're making up this story. Does he know who these people are? Does he know the record that they have on other issues? It's just the ignorance of it is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think there's something. I mean, I couldn't speak for Jonathan Beale, but I know a lot of people I know and stuff. It's like an ideological thing where you are someone that believes in the institutions, rather than in the individual. So Jonathan, I always bring up Jonathan Cook as a great journalist.
Yes,
and I know that from my own understanding of stories that I follow very closely, or kind of been involved in, a la the Labour Party and all that kind of stuff, right? And the way that he has reported on that, and how that is, I've seen that reflected in my own experience of what is going on, right? And then you can look to him and I can say, where he once worked for the Guardian newspaper, so he's come out of mainstream, like a lot of people. Found for whatever reason that he couldn't do the work he wanted to do at these institutions, whatever, and now he's gone solo. But a lot of people would just look at that and go, just some guy with a blog. It must be shit. Let's see what the BBC has to say about it. Rather than looking at, well, you're looking at the BBC. Who is this journalist that's writing this story for the BBC? One thing I really noticed about the BBC is a lot of the stuff it doesn't tell you who's even written it. A lot of like the main stories that come up, because it's like, and that almost is a sign of like the audience for that don't care who was writing this stuff. They're just like, oh, this is BBC. So anyway, yeah. So
can you clarify? Is this Jonathan Beale? Is he being stupid, or was he actually covering something up there? Or are you saying the BBC as a whole was covering something up there, or other people within it were, but he was perhaps just being thick?
I think he was being thick, because I think he would have just kept his mouth shut.
Yeah, you'd have thought so.
Yeah.
Quite a fucking stupid question.
But anyway, it's all culminated recently. By the way, we're into our last 10 minutes already of this round.
Oh, shit!
Of this Zoom call. A week ago, I don't know, at some point, an Al Jazeera journalist was killed. In fact, 5 Al Jazeera journalists were killed in Gaza. August the 10th. There, I wrote it down. See, I'm putting in a lot of work for this podcast. And what happened? Yes, so there was I think it was declassified again. Tracked that there was a flight at that time by the UK.
Right.
So there is some evidence to suggest that there was UK involvement in the targeting of these journalists, because the Israeli forces admit openly that they were trying to target one of these journalists, because they claimed that he was actually working for Hamas on the side. They ended up killing 5.
I think that was in Jonathan Cook's article. Wasn't it?
It's like I didn't read Jonathan Cook's article, but it's so funny with the Israeli forces. They don't even have to say. It's like, we know that obviously he was working like all the babies and everyone else. Everyone's that you don't have to give us. It's not like there's a what could the reason be this time that they killed a journalist or a child or a doctor? Was it that they were working with Hamas? Oh right, yeah.
I did the reading for Jonathan's article on this, and he basically describes it as like, he goes, you do know that like being a journalist for Al Jazeera in the occupied territories is a really full-time job. And I don't know much about it, but I reckon being a Hamas terrorist is also a pretty full-time job. You can't just sneak off after you've been in front of the cameras to be like, oh, I'll just go and plan some terrorism. It's just completely implausible.
And, there's no evidence for it at all. There might be, but no. Israel has not given any. And nobody's asked for any. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And because I can't remember where I saw it, but someone put up a clip of the BBC reporting on this. And their take on it was, is it justified to kill 5 journalists when you're only trying to kill one? And it's like, well, it's you're just so far from like
it's just gross, isn't it?
This is what I was talking about before, where the framing is already sort of superseded where you want to be. It's like how bad is anti-Semitism in the Labour Party? Should everybody be in prison? It's like, let's just dial this back a bit.